Again on my sourdough journey. It's been tough. So I gave a shout out to, I think it's his page is called Sourdough Made Simple. He does everything in under 10 minutes. And what he means by that is that he makes the dough and forms it under 10 minutes, but he also lets it burnt bulk ferment overnight. So usually what they do, same day loaf, is you make the dough at night before you go to bed, then you let it bulk ferment. A lot of people let their dough rise or bulk ferment overnight in the refrigerator, and it's called a cold retard. This is something I mentioned in the beginning, how they have so many terms. It is extremely confusing to follow. So I've been trying this for a long time and it really hasn't worked, and it's frustrating, but it is what it is. That's the learning curve. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the dough out of the bowl that I have. I'm going to put it in my Dutch oven, which is cold, and then put it in my oven. I'm going to turn my oven on to 450. And on these instructions that the guy gives, he says, score and move into cold Dutch oven. Placed in cold oven. No preheating required. Okay, actually, so I'll turn it back off. So this is parchment paper. My sister gave me a bunch of sheets already cut about this size. And obviously you stick it inside the Dutch oven. But a good tip, pro tip as they say, that you hear from other people, is to take it, crunch it up, right? And stick it in the pan. I was told when you pre-flour the pan is to use some white rice flour. It's supposed to be better than the other flour and it doesn't stick. I put more flour in here. It doesn't hurt. It's only a teaspoon or so. Now, as far as the dough goes, this is going to be a little tougher to get out. So I have my scraper here. Let's move this out of the way so you can see what's going on. And what I will do, I'll put the parchment paper on top of my bowl. Alright. Now I gotta get it out of this bowl. I'm not even gonna try and form it because I spent so much time working on this thing. But when you let the dough rest, that's all part of it being called bulk fermentation. Normal breads that most people make have yeast in them. Sourdough bread is a live bread. It has no yeast in it, just flour and salt and water. So it's alive. It looks like it's coming out. Check it out. Come on. Well, it was. It looked a little bit like it did. And my dough hasn't really came out perfect just yet, like all of the other creators that I've seen on YouTube or any other channel, right? Their stuff looks legit, comes out good. Mine is, as you look at it, you can see what it looks like a blob. Although right now it finally came out pretty good, which is cool. Because you're supposed to shape it, right, into a sort of a ball or a dough ball, which they call a boule. But for some reason in my sourdough journey, I haven't got to that level yet. That's extremely frustrating. So after you put your dough on this parchment paper, stick it in the Dutch oven. That's what I'm going to do. Right? What's in there? Then they tell you to also try to straighten out the paper because the bread will, the paper, parchment paper will absorb into the bread. And I actually had that happen with one of my loaves that I made that was so wet. I made it like in a little bitty bread pan. Hey, Michael, nice to have you watching. Yeah, I'm trying to make sourdough bread right now, brother, and it's been very difficult for me. If you look into sourdough bread and sourdough bread recipes online, they are extremely complicated. So I found this young man on YouTube who has a page, and it's called Sourdough Made Simple. He has his own starter, because with sourdough bread you need a starter. You don't just make it like regular bread where you take some yeast and water and sugar and you wait for the yeast to ferment a little, right? And then you make it. This one you create a starter, which is basically water and flour, and you let it ferment. Once it rises and gets all bubbly and looks crazy, that's when it's ready. But you have to do what's called feeding it. And when you feed it, there's all these terms I keep mentioning, but when you feed it, you have what's called a discard. So when you discard it, let's say you feed you. I'll give you an example. This is my starter right here, my starter jar. You can look inside it, see what I see. But basically, it's flour, all-purpose bread flour with a higher protein content. I use King Arthur's, but it's same equal amount of flour and water, and that is what's called a ratio, a 1-to-1 ratio. So they tell you this when you make bread. You get so much information. It's information overload. It's so hard. It's so hard to comprehend and take in, and it's very intimidating for a new baker. I have no experience baking except for making bread, and it was very easy to make. But if you want to make it yourself, it's a little challenging, but I think it can be done. So this is my starter, and in this, the guy simply Sourdough Made Simple, his page, he uses what's called a hydration ratio of 60%. All that means is that it has, I think I would say like 60% water. I'm not sure. I don't even know what that means. But anyways, uses a starter, right? And the starter, when you use a starter, most of all these bread videos tell you to take your starter out of the refrigerator, or you have a starter already on the counter. You have to feed it. You have to wait for it to rise or ferment. So it's very intimidating. So anyways, I decided to try this one because I've been watching videos almost nonstop for over 3 months now. I'm obsessed with trying to make this bread correctly. And last night I decided to use this young man's method. So when I took the bread out this morning, the bowl that I had in right here, because it was bulk fermenting, which is basically rising overnight, it didn't come out like it did, and I wasn't able to shape it. So it was a total, I don't want to say a total failure, but it just wasn't like the video. And you will find in your own journey, when you see tutorials like that, you're going to end up being like the old, I believe it was the old Ace Hardware Supply commercial where people were trying to do things themselves and they couldn't, and they needed a hand, so they raised their hand. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this in the oven just like it says. It says score and move into cold Dutch oven, but I can score it. I'll take it out and show you. I will score it because it's going to split. So when you score the dough, you take a razor. And that's another thing about the terms. It's basically a razor with a handle on it that you can buy, I guess, about anywhere that I can't find in my house right now. Oh, there it is. All these fancy tools, right? Like this is called a, I don't know, Dutch or some kind of It's a whisk. It's really, you whisk the starter. So, and this is the knife that I use. It's a razor blade, right? But they call it a lame or a lame. I think it's lame. Weirdest compliment received. Okay, so I'm gonna just score it, right? And they tell you to go at an angle and go from the top to bottom. So I'll do that. And you see how wet my dough is, right? And I'm gonna have to open it up a little more later. Now I'm gonna throw it in the Dutch oven. So you see it, right? Supposedly it will rise. I hope so. You'll see. And you dust it a little bit. You dust the flour. So I got some flour. Dust it a little. I think they say like after 10 minutes or something you can stir it some more. Now I'm going to put the lid on it. And that's the thing about these Dutch ovens. These things are heavy. They are not light. So make sure you can handle 10 pounds. Do a 10-pound curl. Put the lid on it. Oh, it's a good workout when you use these things, I'll say that much. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot one last thing. You're supposed to put water in here, like ice cubes or something. My sister says she puts ice cubes in because that helps it to, another term, spring, which means it raises up, right? So I do have a bowl of ice right here. I'll put them in there. A lot of people put trays. They have specialty ovens. I don't. So there's ice. You can also put a pan in there, which I will, actually. I got a cast iron pan. They say, I think they put it on the lower rack. So set my rack lower in the oven. See, put some water in here. All right, let's see how this goes. Now let's put it in the oven, see what happens. I'm not going to keep you guys on here the whole time because it says to score and move into, why is it not shutting correctly? Okay, there we go. Score and move into cold Dutch oven. This is cold, that's why I'm holding it. It's even colder with the dough in now. And it's set, because I have ice, into cold oven. No preheating required. He's got a cookie sheet holding 4 cups of water on the rack below. I put that pan in there. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if you can see it in the oven. There you go. I have a little cast iron pan. So here we go. Now it says to bake. Set temperature to 425, bake for 58 minutes. All right. So, 425. And he says 58 minutes. There you go. Now, I'm not going to keep you guys in for all 58 minutes. All right, Brother Michael, I hope you're doing well, and I hope that the Lord gives you traveling mercy. Nicole, thank you so much for saying hi and following me. I appreciate it. So what I'm going to do later, guys, is I'm going to come back on after the 58 minutes, show you what the bread looks like. I want to say after another 10 or 20 minutes, I might try to score it a little more. I think I had enough. I scored it enough for it to rise. But they tell you, that's another thing. They tell you don't score it too deep, otherwise it might fall apart. But I don't want to say I don't care. I do care. I'm just hoping and praying that it comes out right. Because that's the thing. Baking or cooking or anything else, it shouldn't be that hard if you want to do it yourself, but I mean, it can be if you don't know. And then the biggest thing is all of the information out there. It's like an information overload, so you can't get it all. All right, guys, so with that in mind, I will come back. I'll come back in about an hour. What I'm going to do after that hour is I'm going to remove the lid and bake it another 12 minutes until I get the desired crust color. It says to the creator that I followed, says he likes his bread. This is the white bread, by the way, white sourdough bread, because they make wheat. He says he likes his bread a little lighter in color. The outside, the funny thing is they call the inside the crumb, right? But the outside, I would call it the crust. That's what I've heard, right? So who knows? But anyways, I hope it works. Thanks for watching. I'll be back in about an hour. Take care.